Hi, I'm Kim and you're watching Kim Wilson TV. My channel is dedicated to helping victims of narcissistic abuse get free and stay free. Before I get going with this video, I just want to take a moment to thank our friend Janet very much for your donation to our channel's PayPal account. I am so sorry I've been away for so long. Now, the last time I did a video was probably about 2 weeks ago. I had mentioned in that video that I'd been hoovered by Trevor, and at that point, almost all hell broke loose in my life. We started out with some torrential rains, some tropical rains. The house flooded, and I mean knee-deep flooded. Sewer lines broke. There was all kinds of things going on. So if things look a little bit different in behind me, that's because I've moved. In fact, we kind of finalized the move a few days ago, but in addition to that, during the flooding, there was so much heavy work required to bail out the house and save our stuff and deal with, oh my God, there was mold, there was black water, there was everything. And yes, the landlord was great. He really did try to help us, but the rains were too heavy. When I rented the house, it had been empty for some time, and the system failed, period. It just had not been in use for a long time. And, well, it is what it is. So I've moved. I've left La Cruz to Winnicaxley. I am now in a condo in Puerto Vallarta, and I'm just going to believe and have faith that everything happens for a reason. We're now in a condo with AC, so I have a very controlled environment. In the old house in La Cruz, I was constantly battling 100% humidity, a lot of moisture, and the computer was crapping out, the speaker was crapping out, my sewing machine was seizing up. I was feeling like every time I took a step forward, I'd get dragged back. So now I feel like I'm going to be able to move ahead a lot more fluidly. So again, I'm just going to believe that everything works out for a reason. Now, many of you have reached out and expressed a concern to see how I was doing after that last video. So I just want to give you guys a bit of an update on how I feel about being hoovered, because really I made that video while it was happening, and now I've had some time to think about it. Okay, I gotta go back a bit. When the house started to flood and the moisture got really high and the humidity got really high, I have respiratory issues. Many of you have made comments under my videos saying you sound winded or take a breath, Kim. Now, I'm not one to really discuss my medical conditions publicly, but I will say I was born with whooping cough at a very early age. I was diagnosed with chronic bronchitis, so I do have a bit of a delicate respiratory system to start with. When the humidity got high, we were dealing with all that water. Of course, it was so hot. I was doing a lot of physical labor, and the way I was cooling down was I was sitting in front of a fan, which, well, I caught a mild case of pneumonia recently. I've been on antibiotics. I do still feel winded, but today the coughing is much better. Prior to today, I couldn't go 2, 3, 4 minutes without a really bad coughing bout, and now I'm going an hour, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. So anyways, I couldn't make any videos. My internet was crapping out. It's just too much moisture, too much humidity, but once again, I'm feeling really positive about things. And I will say, as far as Trevor hoovering me goes, okay, so I'm sick, I'm on antibiotics, I'm trying to move, and I got a lot of time to think. I can't really do much else at this point. I can't make videos, I can't sew. It's too hot in the house to cook. It was a bit of a bloody nightmare, but it did give me a chance to really sit and think about how I felt about being hoovered. I guess first and foremost, now in retrospect, the first thought that comes to mind is the nerve, the audacity of this demon-possessed fiend to think he can swoop into my life, flip my life upside down, terrorize me, torture me, and me flee, and then a couple years later he can pop up again. Hey, why don't you come visit? What the hell? So I think that this gave me a feeling almost of not quite anger, but kind of a feeling of, who the fuck does that little piece of shit think he is? It's almost laughable. It's almost comedy. Could you imagine, blowing into someone's life, posing as someone who loves them, sucking the fucking life right out of them. I mean, the essence of who they are, crushing them, going off on a tangent, with someone else, well, the next day after you dump them, and then think you can pop back up again with your own distorted, delusional account of what actually happened. Like, it's absolute madness. In fact, if it wasn't so bizarre, so surreal, so dangerous for victims and survivors, it would almost show like a really bad episode of Saturday Night Live. I mean, it's almost comedy. And another thing I really noticed is how predictable he was. I guess my foundation of education, understanding of narcissism, really put me in a position where I could almost predict what the idiot was going to say next. Now, did I feel any heartstrings? Absolutely none. No trauma bound sort of feeling, no soul tie, no longing for him, more a feeling of disgust and repulsion. When I say I'm over it, I'm truly over it. And what I think allowed me to sever all of that was really seeing him for what he is. He's just a dead, empty meat suit. That's the truth. I do not have the capacity to love a dead, empty meat suit, I guess because I like to keep my life kind of anchored in logic, reason. There is no reasonable, no logical explanation for why I would love someone void of human character traits. I think for each of us, love means we've met someone that presents something wonderful in our lives, someone who has a character, a personality, hobbies, interests, passions. I mean, all of the things that make someone human, their ability to love, be compassionate and understanding. Well, narcs are void all of this, so I really feel very much removed from even having the capacity to love or miss one of those things. So back to the move and what that sort of means for me. Well, what it means for me is I'm not going to have any more crashes with my computers. I know it can happen, but it's a lot less likely. I'm not anticipating any internet failures. I mean, it was one after the other. And this is a much more stable home, a much more controlled environment. And I really want to start driving the channel forward when it comes to healing and recovery. I'm going to tell you guys, I'm looking out at a world right now that seems to be flipped upside down. No, I'm not seeing it as much here in Mexico because Mexico has a very different type of social system. I am looking at countries like the United States of America, Canada, the UK, Sweden, France, where we are seeing catastrophic changes to the social system, to political system, and I do believe those countries are not offering the same state of hopefulness that countries like Mexico is offering right now. Now, don't get defensive of your homeland because I can explain this more in a future video, but at a glance, looking out, I'm just going to say that some of the really advanced first world countries do seem to be in peril right now, and I know many of you see that. So as things seem to be changing so quickly, I would strongly suggest that all of us get on board, really help support each other, foster and nurture each other so we can get everyone to a state of heightened recovery. These are not times for people who have been incapacitated, weakened, diminished. These are times for brave hearts, and just like the Marines, we can't leave one man behind. Now, I have taken some steps with my friend David to ensure we're able to introduce you to some wonderful therapists, counselors, and life coaches. Last week, I was scheduled to do an interview with Rinda Smith, with our friend here from the channel, AJ Mahari, and of course, repeat friend, David Holan. Now, unfortunately, because I was moving and I was having so many interruptions to my equipment and I was physically ill, I was unable to get to those, but I am feeling considerably better now. Still a little fevery, but much, much better. So we're going to be really busy with those interviews in the next week. So I'm really looking forward to that. I really do believe that this is a time when all of us need to really focus on recovery. What silver lining we can find about narcissistic abuse. And I'm going to tell you, just this move, for example, I mean, the fact that my house was flooding, gray water was backing up. I mean, we were in a state of absolute, what the hell is going on here? It was like one thing after the other. It was fucking poltergeist. But I fall back often when life throws me a curveball or when one of life's challenges seems a little bigger than normal. And I fall back on my experience with narcissistic abuse because I truly do believe that each and every one of us went through that for a reason. Now, I can't speak for you, but I'm going to say in my own personal experience, being a victim of narcissistic abuse, getting out of that deep, dark hole, moving on to create a new life for myself and my family has given me a real sense of self, a real sense of personal identity. And it reminds me daily of just how strong I really am, just how much I can accomplish if I set my mind to it. I do believe that once you've survived narcissistic abuse, you can survive anything, even a blackwater backup. I guess in many ways, I really felt like my freedoms, liberties, my sense of self had been taken from me. My dignity had been taken from me. And now, of course, that I'm free and have been for 2 years, I guess I'm really starting to find myself again and really recognize what I'm capable of, where I've been, and where I'm going. So I've always tried to see the glass is half full versus half empty. And I do recognize, especially since this last hoovering, how I was absolutely obsessed at the time, during that 5 years I was with Trevor. So I would leave, he would hoover me, this lingering obsession. I don't know if it was a need to be validated or because a narc will just sever the relationship so abruptly. I mean, it just felt like there were so many loose ends to me. And of course, I was in a state of total mindfuckery. I couldn't think straight. I had truly been gaslit to the point of utter insanity. Like many of you, I was feeling crazy, acting crazy, and nothing was making sense to me. Now, 2 years later, getting hoovered, I gotta tell you, I was hoping there would have been more information in it. There was no soul connection, no nothing like that. I mean, still this sort of feeling like yuck. And not that it made me feel bad, but I will say, one of the lingering feelings for me 2 years out and really having no connection to Trevor at all is I do still have a real sense of a feeling of being raped. Like I've got that sort of dirty repulsion, like, oh God, tell me, tell me it didn't happen, that sort of feeling. It did happen, and I feel sick about that, but there's nothing I can do to change that. And I think as time goes on, I'll even become a bit more accepting of that because, I mean, that's something I can't take away, right? That's a fact. It kind of repulses me that I ever spent 2 seconds with that pig of a man in an intimate sort of capacity. And that is one thing that still causes me to have a feeling of repulsion. Of course, when he did hoover me, it was that was triggered. I have really struggled with this feeling of rape by deceit, because I know in my heart of hearts that I would never have slept with that dirty, filthy pig of a man in a million years had I known what he was. So in that way, I guess of all the aspects of narcissistic abuse, it is that one that's always lingered for me. So him contacting me, hoovering me, did trigger that. And one other, and I got to be honest about this one, is a time loss. I really feel like I wasted those 5 years with him. But, with that said, I did start the channel. I've met all you guys. I feel truly empowered being a part of this collective. I love you dearly. I feel a real sense of unity and camaraderie and friendship and love and support, all of that stuff from you guys. So in that case, I feel really grateful. But on the other hand, I guess I wish I could have learned this lesson another way. I really do, and I think it's that rape feeling that keeps coming back to kind of haunt me sometimes. But short of that being triggered, I really didn't learn much from it, and I guess I'd hoped to learn something. I'd hoped that him hoovering me would present another piece of the puzzle so we could better understand this, but he was so lethargic, so robotic, so predictable. He just, so dehumanizing, like nothing about the Hoover was personalized to me. What it felt like was he had lost his primary supply. His last girlfriend probably ran away, and why wouldn't she? And it felt to me like he was just throwing out this really wide net to see if he can catch anything. I guess in one sense I did feel like, why the fuck would he think he could catch me? But, short of that, I really didn't learn anything, really didn't feel much except for that little, rape by deceit kind of trigger, and really feel like it was just a waste of my time. I'd hoped I'd find a missing piece of the puzzle, and I did think when I realized I had pneumonia, when the doctor told me that, and I had to go on antibiotics, I knew I had to rest. I thought, well, I've got a pretty busy life. This will give me a chance to reflect on that. But honest to God, guys, nothing's coming to me. They're just useless pieces of shit, and not even useful as far as gathering information goes. For those of you that did inquire about my state of well-being, I want to thank you very, very much. Your friendship has certainly been felt, and I hope you guys are feeling friendship coming from me, because I love you guys lots. I do have so much to tell you. I've been doing a lot of research, and I have come up with some puzzle pieces. So this last Hoover presented nothing, and I really want to share this information that I have with you guys. I've got all kinds of news and information about the meetup in September, and I want to share that with you guys. I feel a bit frustrated right now because I feel like I lost, time, and I hate losing time. Like after you lose time to a narcissist, it kind of gives every minute a different kind of meaning, and I do feel a bit flustered by that, but probably because I haven't been sleeping great and I am a bit fevery. I really want to thank you guys for standing by me, and I really hope that we can start to focus solely on recovery. I really do believe that we are facing challenging times. We are really facing times that are kind of unpredictable right now, but I think if anyone on this planet knows how to face a challenge and how to overcome a challenge, it's us. And I do believe there are some topics right now that are a bit taboo to discuss, but I'm going to stick my neck in the noose and discuss them because, I want everybody to be well. I want all of us to be restored. I want all of us to have a sense and feeling of purpose and passion again. I mean, definitely I lost my passion during the time I was with Trevor, and with each day, with each step away from that, I feel a lot more in touch with myself and the direction I want my life to move in, and I want everybody on board because these are challenging times, and the experience with narcissistic abuse certainly made me stronger, and I believe if you allow it to make you stronger, to make you more resilient, it will. I'm Kim. You're watching Kim Wilson TV. I love you guys lots, and I hope you're having a great narc-free day.